Good morning, ma'am.
Yeah. So, you all are aware that Niti madam is not well. So, we have decided that to avoid, minimize your losses because of her absence, I will take lectures of this class, uh, DM, and Nikhil sir will take multimedia classes. Okay? Vaishnav, would you record this also?
Ma'am, I'm not the. I don't have
Oh,
recording
yeah.
controls here.
You don't have recording control. Let me see if I have a recording control. No, even I can't record. Although I'm added as a teacher, I can't record. Anyway, that's okay. If any one of you are, but I'm sure there are ways in which people are recording. Are you not? Vipul? Yeah, what do you use to do it? OBS can be used, no? OBS software. Okay, then do it, please. Okay? At least my lectures you recorded. I am okay with it, and I would like to, I want you also to share it with me. Okay? Okay, thank you guys. I'm so happy you all are doing it on your own. So we'll start. Okay, and I'm asking Vaishnav to present it so that I can also see if you have any questions in the chat box. Otherwise, when I'm presenting, I cannot see the questions in the chat box. And I like responses in the class, so please don't keep quiet. However stupid, silly you feel your question is, uh, start asking those questions. Okay? Because for me, nothing is really stupid. It's your question, it's your doubt, and you are entitled to ask about it. So please ask, stop me there itself and ask. I have no problem with that. Okay? Now, let me start with asking you a question. What is your idea of what is data mining?
Extraction of useful insights from huge amount of data.
Extraction of useful
Insights from huge amount of data.
insights from huge amount of data. Now, how will you describe useful?
Um, the data which we require.
Okay, so say I have extracting useful. Again, the same answer is given, but I want to know what.
Uh, Ma'am, for example, suppose we have a large amount of data
Huh,
of specific of customers for a specific organization.
huh,
So whatever is needed to make the organization work better for their marketing strategies,
huh.
uh, for their customer relationship, whatever that data is needed, transformation of the raw data into useful information for those purposes. Maybe that's what I understood.
Okay, you're moving in that direction. You're moving in that direction. I like it. There's also said that that can be used to take decisions.
Yes, ma'am.
Pratik, I think that, okay, predicts trends and patterns. And it gives us insight. This is what I was looking for. See, there are things that you will find. You will find that people are giving, you dig a lot of data and you say that if people buy bread, they also buy butter. Now that really doesn't give you much insight, right? So yes, this will also be one of the results which you will get with data mining. But what you would be interested in is not getting only that kind of data, but also getting something which will give us new insight. And I don't know whether you are aware about the story that how data mining concept started, and knowledge mining is what people talked about, that who is a knowledge worker. Now, suppose it started with, in a supermarket, they were analyzing this sales, and they found that on a Friday evening, the sale of beer as well as the sale of diapers went up. This is a classic case study in data mining. Has anybody heard about that? Okay. So if you've not heard, let me tell you that story. So they found out that the sale is extremely increasing. Now, what would a normal person do with this information? It has given you insight that the sale of diaper and beers, which are two independent things, is increasing. So what would a worker do? What decision he would make?
By Thursday evening, we can arrange more amount of diapers and beers in the supermarket.
Thursday evening, you will have more amount of diapers and beers. One. Second,
We can also have some discounts during that period.
discounts on beer or diaper.
Yes, ma'am. Means for purchasing large amount of beers or diapers, we can provide them
Combo
with
deal.
discount.
Yeah, Pratik is saying combo deal for both. Even stock
Ma'am,
some
like we
snacks.
can,
Yes, Safat, now this is interested me. Even stock some snacks. Why snacks?
Ma'am, if they would buy beer, like I'm talking about that aspect, if they would buy beer, they even would want to have some snacks with it or something like that. So we can add some snacks so they can buy it along with beer.
Yeah, so you buy 1 kg Maggie bottle, you will get one small Maggie packet of 10 rupees free with it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, that's a good, interesting point. Place the diaper and beer where the customer can find it easily. Yes, perfect. Visibility should be improved and the accessibility also should be better. Some other baby products with diaper. Very good. This is like additional of snacks with the beer and additional baby products with the diaper. I think you have covered quite a lot of things, and I'm very happy that you people are actually thinking all these things. Uh, but there is something which you can do beyond going there. Beyond is what? That the knowledge worker, as it is defined, will do all of these things which you have mentioned. Plus, he will also try to find out why beer and diaper are selling more. What is the reason? Because these are not related products. Why would a person buying beer also want to buy diaper? So then he digs further into it and thinks about a situation where who would be the customers who would be buying beer and diaper together. Of course, this is a case study from US. So in our country, we don't normally have young executives go out and buy beer every weekend. But this is a case study from US. So that's a normal thing. Now, the further investigation led them to find out that the customers who purchased this beer and diaper together were young executives. And there were two possibilities why they would buy them together. One is they want to finish off the shopping for the next full week when they are not going to be having time because of their jobs, right? So stock those things. Secondly, they may be going outstation for the weekend, which is also very common in US that they go out for the weekends. Then they want to carry those stocks with them. Thirdly, there may be some kind of a game. When there is ball games, people don't move out of that house. It's like our India-Pakistan cricket match. Okay. So with that, what they do is they will then ensure that there is sufficient stock so that they don't have to miss out on the fun of the match. Now, when I find out that this purchase is done by the two young executives only, what I will do is I will stock along with snacks for the beer. I will also see what are the other things they would need. If it is a game, what are the other things they would need? If it is a outside season where they go out camping, etc., then maybe some camping gear may be kept nearby. So location of the items in the store can be guided by this information. So you see how much further you can go into it. So this is how your actionable information, and remember, what you discover at the end of data mining must have some surprise or news content in it. Like I said, you buy jeans, you bought t-shirt, there's no surprise content there. The second case study, which was very famous, was about billing from the electricity department. Now, we all know that the billing rates for the industrial area as well as for the residential area are different, correct? Per unit cost is different for an industrial area, and it is different for a residential area. Now, in that case, and lot of times you are not even looking for that information. See, that is what it is. The difference between your RDBMS, when you use SQL, you end up asking a question with certain expectation of some answer from your mind. That is what I mean by news or interesting content. So I am not looking for this. I am analyzing the bills. Okay, I was not looking at who are the people who are buying these items together. I just accidentally discovered that those two are being bought together. And so I need to make sure that I have to dig in further to find out what I can do out of it. Similarly, in this case also, they were analyzing the electricity bills and they found that consistently in one residential area, the bill which was there was much higher than any other residential area. Now, there was absolutely no intention of digging out for those. But this was an observation, this was a news content, this is what was thrown out by the system. And that is where the thought came that why is this consistently? Then further digging involved checking out what are the people who are staying there, and they found that they were actually small industrial units which we had registered as residential to reduce their bills. So the fraud was detected. You understand? Unfortunately, in our education system, we are trained to think about what we are, this is the question, then this is the answer. But no, there are times, and especially the management, those who have any inclination towards management will realize that you are always taught or asked to check things out of the box. They say you look at out of the box. What does out of the box mean? Means what is something which is not very obvious, because it would not be very obvious that this is an industrial area, right? From the residential, this thing. Or these are young executives who are buying. So you had to do something, think outside the box, that why these are together, why? And that is what I have been wanting you all to learn. And unfortunately, I really empathize with you that you all have a very short time. So you have to put in a lot more effort than what others had, because they had a little more extra time to digest these things. Now you have to digest it as fast pills, ingest it directly almost. So you will have to put in a lot more effort. Especially people who don't have a background in this area will definitely need to put in much more efforts there. And we are there to help you, so don't worry about that. As long as I am there, I will be there to help any one of you at any point in time. So now we'll go on to the next slides. So you understand what data mining is now? This is your understanding, and I'm very happy with your level of understanding. Go back to the slides, Vaishnav. Yeah. This is one of the books. There is another book also, which you may want to use, which I think is, this is a little more complex book, but there is also one more book by Han and Kember, Jaiva, Han and Kember. That is another book which you will need to refer. Next. Okay, so basically, and today it is becoming more and more possible because you are getting large scale data everywhere. How many of you know that your location data is being tracked every second by many applications? Whether they need it or they don't need it? Just open your phone, apps, permissions, and you will find that there are so many applications. Every application is asking you whichever one you have downloaded. It will ask you to share your contact details. It will ask you to share your location details. It will ask you. Most of the time, I make sure that my location is off. But in spite of that, I know there are ways in which people have, yeah, even desktop browsers are tracking the location. Yes. So you have to see, and the amount of data which is getting collected. Now you are having CCTV cameras, right, at the signals. So there is a lot of traffic data which is getting collected. And that is what the Google API is using, that traffic data, right? So that data is there. So traffic pattern implies that you are having, you are very happy when they tell you that, okay, there is so much of a roadblock on this side and you can take this route. But that underlying thing that they have, actually they know where you are and what is your problem, is scary for me. I don't know whether it is for most of you. Most of them are happy कि अरे Google ने बता दिया मेरे को कि यहाँ से मत जाओ, वहां से जाओ, टाइम थोड़ा कम लग जाएगा. Okay, then with your knowledge, with the knowledge that where you are and what you are doing at that point in time, are you doing any purchases? Because if they know that you are in a superstore, they know you're doing purchases. They know what kind of, with the credit card swap, they know what kind of purchases you have done. What are the items that you're interested in? Obviously, your security becomes an issue. Your security and privacy is all being compromised. But there's nothing you can do about it today. What you have to do as knowledgeable people is you have to start understanding where and how you can minimize the damages that you can have. All your phones are having sensors in that, so even they are transmitting information. So even if you turn the location off, there are other things in the phone which transmit the location to the cell towers. And unfortunately today people, we get, how many of you get happy when you get free? Buy one, get one free. Don't write in the chat box, just tell. Unmute and say yes, no. You're not happy when you get buy one, get one free?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that you are actually getting it free?
No,
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 ma'am.
ma'am.
it's just a way of
Marketing
marketing.
strategy only.
You have ended spending more, 100%. And then not only that, that is the direct this thing. Second indirect benefit that they have done is they have collected your information. Believe it or not, people were surprised when the initial years WhatsApp was only a simple messaging system, right? Today it has become a big this thing. It has added so many features and many possibilities are there through WhatsApp. But initially when Facebook purchased it for $19 billion, $19 billion, WhatsApp was just a simple messaging system and you could message for free. Now, obviously, that free messaging fetched the company $19 billion. So please remember this statement of mine. You may forget the data mining that I taught you. You may forget anything else that I teach to you. But there are 2 or 3 things I want you to remember all the time. That one is there is no free lunch. Wherever you see there is a free word, think back, where is that free coming from? What are the advantages? Because people are collecting your data and selling it. Because otherwise, why would you get an advertisement of the thing which you are searching for on Google. Just generally, if you are searching also, you go to book. Now, of course, bookings are not very often on the airlines, but if there is booking on the airline, you look for the pricing, and after some time, if you come back, the pricing changes, it increases, because you know what you have done in the middle, in the mid, because they have cookies, is that you have browsed the other sites. Okay, so these are the things that you are being tracked all the time. You are, they are manipulating you. So there is never a free lunch. Anything free, first sit down and think why this is free. Okay. Of course, you cannot avoid most of the things you would like to avoid, but you can't avoid all of it also. But try, at least as educated people, we should try to minimize it. Now, second thing that is there is like gather whatever data. That's what I said. Whatever data you can, whenever, wherever possible. That is what the companies are doing. And expectation is that it will have a value either for the purpose collected or for a purpose not envisioned. This is where your data mining component comes. The interesting or the news content of your data will come in. Okay. Next slide. So from a commercial point of view, since you're using more and more, and COVID has definitely helped this situation, that there is lots of data being collected and warehoused. There is a lot of web data, and lot of times some of this data is also in a structured form. Now, what's the difference between a structured and an unstructured form? Do you know what is structured data and what is unstructured data?
In structured, the columns are well defined.
Attributes are well defined, so you can apply SQL queries to it. Unstructured would be? Unstructured would be?
Maybe having noise or not organized.
No. Give me some example of unstructured data.
Ma'am, could it be education? Some might say matrix, some might say 8 standard, some might say.
No, not that way. We are talking of structured data. Structure of the data. Aniket has given one answer. Word file images. So why word file? Can any image not be an unstructured data? Yeah.
Ma'am, because we have to collect information or data from the word file. It can't give us a direct information.
No, so what I'm saying is that image of a word file. Image of a pig,
No, ma'am. It's word
Any
file,
image.
comma, image.
Any
Word file,
image.
comma, images. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, images. And when you say word file, comma, images, so you're now putting two things, correct? Which means you are having a combination of two things, correct? Emails. Yes, all of this will get included under, you gave a name word. Word is basically, I think that the generic, this thing would be text files. Text data, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So what you have is audio, video, text files. All of these are unstructured because there is no format in which it is going to be there specifically. Correct? So that is what is the challenge, that we are used to lots of data with RDBMS, and then they are all structured data. So we have columns and we can query on any component of it. If we, of course, there will be issues like your performance and all that thing, but you can do that and you can find the information. But when from an image, can you find out that this image is better than that? Or this bird is same as that? There are cats which look like dogs also, lots of hair on them. So is it a cat or is it a dog? This is unstructured, and there are other things that you need to do with it. So you need to modify, you have to, use different techniques to look at that. But those will be advanced concepts. So here, basically, the data which is coming from is mainly from your net, from the mobile applications that you are doing. So this is allowing you to collect lots of data and sensors, etc. Okay, so it allows you to provide, once you use this, it allows you to provide better customer services for a cutting edge, simply because the competitive pressure is very strong. Now remember, in the past, you had a banya in your village, and then he was the one who would provide, and if he didn't have it, he would say, "Acha, main manga leta hu." So you had monopoly kind of thing. But today, what you see, if you don't find it on Amazon, you go to Flipkart. If you don't find it on Flipkart, you go to some other site. Is it not? So there is a competition, and then for maintaining that relationship, people have to make sure that they utilize every aspect, and that is why they call the data is the oil of the 21st century. Okay, next. Now, again, this is used for scientific purposes also, because you're getting weather data, you're getting gene expression data. So these are the applications where they are using, because these are the places where you're getting high amount of data. Like you say, in scientific simulations, terabytes of data is generated in a few hours. Telescope scanning the sky survey data, that is again very large, this thing. So data mining will help the scientists to automatically analyze the massive data sets and also try to make some hypotheses. Okay, next. So I think now we can go further, that these are, just you can read up these things. I don't think you need any explanations on this, that what kind of, solutions we are getting. So now when we are coming to the definition, and that is where I told, non-trivial extraction of implicit, previously unknown, and potentially useful information from data. This is the definition I like most, because this is what describes data mining most appropriately. It has to be non-trivial. It should not be like you bought bread and then you brought butter, although all the examples that we do in the class only talk about bread and butter. But it has to be previously unknown, potentially useful, so that you can make decisions based on that. It is also called as exploration and analysis by automatic or semi-automatic means of large quantities of data in order to discover meaningful patterns. And what are the steps? You input the data, where you will do various activities in data pre-processing, that is feature selection, dimension. We'll see each one of them a little in detail. Yeah, Sunil, you have any question? Sunil, do you have any question? Okay. And in post-processing, what you will do is you will filter the patterns, visualize, and interpret those patterns, which will then convert it into information. Next. Now this is again some history that from data mining and use of statistics. So whenever you are studying statistical subjects, please don't think that they are used for mathematics as a mathematics part, but the probability and the statistical parts are useful in your today's scenario, especially the analytics, which uses data mining, AI, machine learning, deep learning, pattern recognition. All of this use statistics as a base. So today, all of you know that data science is one of the most booming areas where you get lots of money and salary. But for that, you need to understand what is the statistics. So what I want you to do is understand the statistics which is taught, not only the formulas and then solving that formula, but to find out two things about that formula: where it is useful, in what conditions it is useful, and in what conditions it is not useful. Now, unfortunately, because of your short semesters and shortening of the course itself, the data structures and algorithms was, not a theory subject for you. It was to be done through the lab, but all the searching, sorting algorithms, I would request that when you learn those searching, solving algorithms, today see you're going to have all the algorithms and the implementations available on the net. You don't have to use your brain for that. You paste it and you will get the code, and you can apply the code, you can submit your assignments, get full marks on it. But what I want you to do from that is figure out that if my data is in ascending order, how much time does it take? How many swaps are there? How many comparisons are going to be made? How many swap moves are necessary? For every type of algorithm, do these three things. How many, when the data is in ascending order, when the data is in descending order, and when your data is in random order. Now, if you look at those implementations of searching and sorting algorithms with this kind of data in mind, and then make these comparative tables, then you will know that when you go to work, because nobody's going to tell you use a bubble sort and solve your problem, right? Nobody's going to ask you to code using bubble sort or quick sort or use merge sort here. You will have to figure out that this is going to be better, because today optimization of the code is also becoming very important. So you should look at those things, and this is how I want you to learn even the data mining. And that is why I wanted to take some lectures, and I think God has given me an opportunity here to give you that insight that how you should actually look at this. So if you are doing these algorithms, on which type of data this algorithm will be useful, on which type of data this is not useful. So you study in your statistics, you are studying different types of distributions, probability distributions. So find out that what is the data that you need to, what makes it this type of distribution. So if I have a data set, I don't have this thing, and I'm told that the mean median is more, I should be able to understand that what it means, that is my data is going to be normally distributed, or it follows a Gaussian distribution. I should also know that there are applications which will allow, which are, which work well only when the data is normally distributed. But if the data is not normally, it is skewed, then maybe you don't have that kind of flexibility. So these are the kinds of things that you have to see and note down in your mind, along with the notes for which you are going to be tested. Okay? Because that is a learning that you will get from this subject. Now, traditional data, I told you, they're large scale, they're high dimensional, heterogeneous, different types, varieties are there. It is complex, it is distributed, it comes from various sources. Okay. So data mining is a key component of the emergent field of data science and data-driven discovery. Next. Are you people understanding? Do you have any doubts? If you have any question, please ask. I don't think there should be, but in case there is, please ask. Okay, now what are the tasks that are done in data mining? One is the prediction, that is, you use some variables to predict unknown or future values of the variables. Okay. Second is description methods, where you'll find human interpretable patterns that will describe the data. Next slide. Milk and Pampers. Okay. So now you see here they have given diagrammatically, they have shown what kind of activities that you are going to do. So you're saying that the data is indicating, okay, that you are actually Pampers and milk are bought together. So that is association rule. So this is the branch of data mining which looks at finding the association rules between the items which are purchased, which means that you need to have a set of transactions. Okay, only when you have a full set of transactions, you will be able to figure out, and in each transaction, what are the purchases which are made. Now, this is typically also called as market basket analysis. But understand that this is not only, that is how it is always given, and all the examples are given there. But what you have to do is you have to figure out the association rules in various varieties. It is not necessarily only in a market. Okay. Now, suppose you have the weblog, which means that on your website, you have information regarding the sessions of different users on your this thing, and you know which web pages they clicked on, correct? When you have this data, what you can find out is what are the things which people are visiting. You can use that to improve your website location. So they went here, then they went here, they visited this page, they visited this page, they visited this page, they had to come back to the first page and then go to the fourth page. So is there a requirement that you need to have a connectivity between the third and the fourth page? Okay, so I went from A to B, I went from A to, I had to go back to A, and then I had to go to C, then I had to go to D, I had to go back to A, and then I had to go to D. So if this is the sequence that I have followed, I can mine that weblog, and then I can find association that if people visit this page, they also visit this page. And then I can improve the structure of my web page. This has nothing to do with purchasing, correct? Second thing is that if I want to determine, because if we see all the teachers, I mean, all the mimicry that you do about teachers, what is the thing that you try to find out and then you mimic that? Tell me.
Ma'am, sometimes the accent.
The accent, repetitive actions or words, the tone, the body language. Perfect. Perfect. Right? So what we can identify. So even if I don't take the name and I say something in that particular fashion, people understand. I don't have to tell the name of the person, no? You don't go and stand and say, oh, now I'm going to mimic Pandit Madam. You will start saying that and you'll automatically know that this is Pandit Madam that you're trying to mimic. Is it not? So this is what it is, that you sometimes don't even need to tell who it is or what it is. So that is basically the type of thing that you are going to do in association. So you have associated those actions with me. So what that part of analysis is called is authorship recognition. So if you are given a text also, every author has its own style of writing. From that you can identify the author. From that plagiarism is detected. Okay, which is a big, I think bigger disease than corona in our country, according to me. Then there are times where you know what the class of that item or how you can. So you say that the height is so much for a boy, then he's short. If the height is between this and this, he's medium height. Or if he is above 7 feet, he's a tall guy, right? Now suppose, so you have a training set, so you have this kind of classification available to you. The outcome is known that this is tall, this is medium, this is, of course, like 5 feet is short for a boy, but 5 feet may not be very short for a girl because of the features, right? So different categories may be there, and based on the different this thing. So if I have this person is a female, then I may classify as medium height. But if it is a boy, I may classify that as a short height, right? So for the same amount of data, also for the same height, it may be short or medium depending on whether you're another parameter, another attribute, whether you're a boy or a girl, male or a female. Correct? So these are the things that there are various attributes to any this thing, and from based on that, if you may have a class associated with that. Now, what another that is another set of problems where you can have these values, you know these values, and then based on that, if there is an unknown record which comes where you don't know whether it is a girl or a boy, okay, but you get all those attributes, then you will be able to predict that this is a girl or this is a boy. Okay. Now, suppose we are looking at results. Girl and boy is still simple because there are only two parameters that we are. I mean, the girl is so you get the height, and then you will know that it's a girl or a boy. So now, suppose we are looking at results. Okay, there are many other options which get combined with it. You have typical, the types of wines which are available, the types of other things which are available. So how you can classify them as this or that or that. Okay, so that is something which is done in a second type of problems, which is called as classification problems, which is also used for predictive modeling. So this is called as predictive modeling, in which you are given the data. Also in association rule, the data is given to you. Okay, and from that you make certain conclusions. Okay, there are association rule mining is a little between two types. So there is a the predictive modeling that we are talking about is generally called as, it is divided into two types: data mining task, supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So here when we say supervised, when we say that the class is known to me, and then at the end of it I say that okay, this is the class, then that is my unsupervised learning. But I don't know what means what. All I have to do is I group together similar things. Okay, now let us take example of your class. Now unfortunately, you all are not on campus, but suppose when you went to the campus the first time, how did your groups get formed in the class? Yes, whom did you become friend with first? No, thinking comes much way ahead. Before that, on the first day of the college.
Ma'am, actually, we all became friends with the people we met during the admission process.
Admission process. But suppose of that, you might want to, there will be people from the same college.
Yes, ma'am.
Will not. Just 1 second. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Being an HOD, I keep getting calls in between. I try not to attend if possible, but sometimes I have to. Okay, so that is the classification where the training data is available to you, and that is called as a supervised learning. Then there is another part which is called as clustering, where you just, so I am saying that you have a friend from the same college. Then once you, so initially you just talk with the person who is from same college or person whom you have met on the way. Like you said that you got there and you met and they are going to be traveling with you every day, so you become friends with that, and that is how the groups get formed initially. Then over a period of time, then you start finding that the interests are different. So there are some people who are interested in activities beyond the college activities, take part in competitions. Then your group start, they are dynamically changing, and they change because there is some similarity which groups you together, and that is what is done. So there is no tag on you which allows it to say that, okay, because of this you are in this group. That is become a predictive, but there are certain characteristics which get mixed together, which you find out from each other. Intellectual levels are there, comfortable to talk, feeling comfortable to talk, looking familiar, uh, some friendly faces, right? So that is something which allows you. So there are many parameters, attributes which then allow you to group together. Sometimes you are a part of more than one group also. So there are overlapping groups also. This activity is called as unsupervised learning, where you are just going to find, what you find is the distance between two objects, and then the closer they are, you say that they will belong to the same group, and that is what is clustering. And the last part is anomaly detection. Anomaly detection is what I told you just an example about the electricity bills. So the normal ones could have been grouped together, but the residential, and it showed as a image where it was different and it was high billing, but it was residential area. So anomaly is some kind of a difference. So that is also fraud detection. Okay. Next. Okay, so this is what is the classification. So you have, employed or no, you have level of education given, number of years present at the present address, and whether you are credit worthy or no. So this problem is to find out whether you are credit worthy or no. Now, based on the data set, it was found that this is like the 20 questions that you have played. Have you played 20 questions in the young childhood? You may not know it as a 20-question game, but I think everybody has at some point on time, simply because, it is like, okay, I keep something in my mind and then you ask me question and then I'll answer you yes, no. And then when I answer you yes, no, then you ask next question and then you start finding out further. Okay, then again I will answer yes, no. That is what is a 20 question game. So, and in 20 questions, you should be able to answer who I am thinking of. So what we do, we say that, okay, I have decided something in my mind. So then you ask me a question, is it living or non-living, right? Then if I say it is living, then you say, is it a male or a female? Then you say, if I say it is a female, then you start thinking whether it is personal life, family member or friend or public figure, right? So we try and narrow down our possibility of being able to identify that, correct? And that is exactly what's get done here, that based on the information, so whether you're employed or not employed. Now, based on the data, it said that if you are not employed, then no, you are not credit worthy, because if you're not employed, you're not going to be able to pay back your dues. Similarly, the level of education. So after, if it is employed, then you look at the level of education. If the person is a graduate, okay, then he is more likely to be credit worthy than he is a high school or an undergraduate, because the kind of salaries that they will get will be lesser. Is it not? Okay, so this is how you'll think about it. So then when, if you're graduate also, but if you have small little experience, again your salary levels are not going to be high. There is no guarantee that you will be able to pay back your credits, loans which you have taken. And so the credit worthiness as per this data given is that you are not credit worthy. But if you're working for more than 3 years, which means you have stabilized, and that is where, and you are staying now here, they have not at all taken whether the number of years you are present or not. So you understand that this criteria was not considered. In spite of that, I was able to get the class, which means that whether you are credit worthy or you are not credit worthy. Okay, so here now you see that there are features which are given to you in your data set, but there is also possibility that there are certain features which are not really important in deciding that. You get it? And that is what is called as feature selection. So you select the features which will become important for you to be able to find a solution. Okay, next. What is the next class that you have? And at what time? Can I take 5 minutes more? Can I take 5 minutes more? Okay. We have 11:15, so I'll take 5 minutes more. We'll get a break of 5 minutes, but I'll take 5 minutes more. Okay, so now what you do is that there are different types of data set data. I think you know about those, that there are categorical data, there is quantitative data, right? There is qualitative data, there is numerical, so there is a ranking data, or there is an order there, or there is a ratio data. Different types of data are there. Now what it is doing is that first step that is done in classification is that there is training which is given, okay, based on this, and the tree that we created is created. After that tree is created, you learn from that classifier, okay, then you get the test data. Okay, now you say that the first test employee is, he's employed, he's an undergrad, okay, but he is present at 7 years. Okay, now here we don't know how many years he has, level of education is there. Okay, but then from this data we can figure out whether he will be credit worthy or not credit worthy. So if we say he's working, if we translate that working for more than 7 years implies that he is staying at the present address for 7 years, then we can use that feature, and then we can figure it out whether this person is going to be, so 7 years and undergrad, which means high school or undergrad, and 7 years he has been working, so we can say he is credit worthy. But he is not employed, although he is a graduate, and he is staying at a residence for 3 years. That means for 3 years he's at the same place, but he is not employed. So immediately you say he is not credit worthy, even though he is a graduate. Okay, so this is how the test data will then give you an outcome for the credit worthiness of a person once you have trained your model and the classifier is ready. Next. Okay, these are some examples of classification tasks. You can read them up. I told you fraud detection. I think I will leave you churn prediction for telephone. Okay, customers, which means that whether the customer is going to go from Airtel to Idea, Idea to Airtel, or to Jio. Most of them lost the customers to Jio. So how do you find that out? Now there are different approaches which are given. Third, next slide. Sky survey cataloging, which means you find the new objects in the sky. Okay. Classifying the galaxies to determine their age and features and etc. Okay, now I will stop here. and I want you to read these things up. And tomorrow I'm trying to see if I can get a different time slot for the lecture, maybe again 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock, because I have to go to the doctor after that. So who is having, I think Chaya madam is having a lecture, no?
No, ma'am. Gajanan sir is having lecture.
10 to 11.
Sorry. 10 to 11, it is multimedia and IoT. No, for multimedia students, it's multimedia, and for IoT students, it's IoT.
No, I was just wondering, where is the timetable? I think I have a different timetable which Niti has sent me then. Because Tuesday it is showing, tomorrow is Tuesday. Oh, tomorrow again it is at 10 o'clock only.
Yes.
No, it
ma'am.
is at 11:15.
Sorry.
Our lecture on data mining is at 11.
11:15 to 12:15.
Yes, ma'am.
Uh,
So I think we can swap that with electives. We have electives from 10 to 11.
yeah, if that is possible, that would be great. Will you let me
I'll
know?
have to ask both
Message?
teachers
Yeah,
if
will
that's
you
possible.
message me then?
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Because then if I'm free at 11, I can go to the doctor very, otherwise it will be, tug of war with the time. And tomorrow I have to go because I cannot even postpone it. The doctor is available between 11:30 to 12:30. That's the reason that I'm little this thing. So check with that, and Vaishnav, will you let me know?
Yes, ma'am, sure.
Okay, so what is the feedback on today's lecture? Yes?
Ma'am, initially we were really scared because you have never taught us, so we didn't know how it go. But I think it has been really interesting.
Okay. Okay. If there is any input that you want to give, please let me know. Okay? You can WhatsApp me. Chalo then. Have a good day.